Hello. I'm going to be teaching a second grade standard. It is math, and it's 2.5a sums and differences. Prior to the lesson that I'm about to teach, students would have had practice reading through word problems and then using a 10 frame to solve the word problem. Um, so they understand what that manipulative is and how to use their counters to solve word problems. So leading into what I'm going to do today is they're going to look at word problems and then be able to identify the start, change, and then solving for the result. So I will go ahead and get started. All right, boys and girls, before I start our lesson today, I have some things that I want you to take out so that you're prepared. We're going to start off watching me, but then we're going to have some time where you get to practice with me and then you get to practice on your own. So I would like you to take out your 10 frame and your counters. And then I also want you to take out your dry erase board and your marker. Those are going to be the things that you need when we get to the point where you practice with me. All right, but first let's go ahead and take a look at what we're going to be doing. All right. So if you notice, when our word problems that we're going to look at today, they have a start, change, and the result. The result is what's going to be unknown. All right, let's think about what is our goal for today. Our learning target says, I'm learning about patterns in our number system so that I can use the relationship between addition and subtraction to solve a problem. My success criteria, or how I know I've understood it, is when you can write and solve an equation or number sentence where the result is unknown. All right, here's a question I want us to start thinking about. What are the three parts of a story problem? We've spent lots of time reading story problems and solving using our 10 frame, but what we're going to really think about today is the parts of a word problem or story problem. And there are three. There's a start, a number that is started with, and it's usually at the beginning. And then a change happens. Sometimes that change could be added or added to the start or subtracted from the start. And then you do that to solve for your result. So a story problem has three things: start, change, result. And by the end of today, you'll be able to tell me those three parts. All right, well, let's go ahead and practice with a word problem. So, boys and girls, as I'm working through this and reading, I want you to read with me. Meredith saw 15 leaves on the sidewalk. The wind blew six of the leaves away. How many leaves are left on the sidewalk? So, what we're going to do is we're going to really break down this word problem. And I'm going to use colors in our sentences to help us figure out what the start, change, and result is. So, down here at the bottom, you'll notice that start is in red. Our change is in blue. And then the result is what we're going to be solving for. That's going to be in green. So let's go ahead and take a look. Look what I've done to the first sentence. Meredith saw 15 leaves on the sidewalk. That's what she started with. That's how many leaves she saw on the sidewalk. So I know that my start is going to be 15. Let's think about the second part of that word problem. Meredith saw 15 leaves on the sidewalk, but then the wind blew six of the leaves away. I know that if leaves blow off of a sidewalk, they're gone. They're not there anymore. So my change is going to be six, and we're going to be subtracting six. So 15 minus six, and I have to figure out my result. We're going to use today, we're going to make sure that we use our 10 frame today to show how we were able to solve for that. So taking a look at my start, I'm going to go ahead and draw 15 dots on my 10 frame. I'm going to put that in red so it matches our start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And before I do anything with my change, just take a quick second to look at what you put on your 10 frame and ask yourself, does that show what my start is? My start is 15. I have 15. Now, my change says I'm going to take away 6. So I'm going to cross through 6 of these. 3, 4, 5, 6. What's my result? That's going to be what's left over. That's going to be what isn't crossed off. So I look at the top and I see that this part is full. So that means I wouldn't go through and count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to start at 5 and count on. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9. Sorry, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I had to double check myself there. So 9 are not crossed off. So that's going to be my answer. That is my result. So in all the problems that we're going to look at today, you're going to know, you're going to have the start in your word problem. You're going to have the change. You're just going to be solving for the result today. But we have to be able to know what the start is and know what the change is in the word problem. Let's try another one about sports. Take a look. Follow along with me. Dakota scored 13 points in his basketball game. His teammate Max scored 4 points in the game. How many points did Dakota and Max score together? All right, let's look at our word problem. So this time I don't have them color coded. We need to look back and really think, what is our start? What's changing? So my first line says he scored 13 points in his basketball game. So that is our start. His teammate Max scored 4 points. And I'm looking at our question because at first I may not know what are we doing with those 4 points. Are we adding? Are we subtracting? But when I look ahead at my question, it says how many points did Dakota and Max score together? So I know that if I'm looking for how many they scored together, I'm going to be adding those two numbers. So 13 plus my change, which is 4, and we're going to see if we can solve for the result. So looking down here, let's go ahead and plug in 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. All right, now we're adding 4. So when I add 4, erase that one. When I add 4, I'm going to do that in a different color just so I can see, make sure that I've added correctly. If I did it all in red, then I might lose count of what I've added, might be a little bit harder to solve. All right, my result is going to be the total. So I know that I have a 10 frame full. So I'm not going to count them individually. I'm going to count 10. I see I have a group of 5. So 10, 15, 16, 17. So my result for this one is 17. All right, let's try another. Bianca had 3 pencils and Randy gave her 4 more pencils. How many pencils does Bianca have all together? So I need to know my start and my change so that I can solve for my result. Now, looking at the first sentence, it says she had 3 pencils. So I know that that's what she started with. So down here where it says start, I'm going to put 3. Randy gave her 4 more pencils. So I know that if somebody gives me 4 more, then now I have more than what I started with. So that would be adding. So she's adding 4, and we're going to solve for our result. Now, boys and girls, you may already know 3 plus 4. So these are simple facts that at some point we want you to know fluently. But if you don't know, then you have that 10 frame to fall back on as something that you can go to help you solve it when you don't know. So I'm going to show my start, which is 3. And remember, when we do the change, we're going to switch colors. That way you can see it. We're going to add 4. Okay, looking at it, I see I have a group of 5, and then I count on 5, 6, 7. So they have 7 pencils all together. All right, let's try another one, and then it'll be your turn to practice with me. There were 13 nickels in the jar. Jack took out 6 nickels. How many nickels are left in the jar? Draw dots in the tens frame to help you solve the question. All right, looking at it, there were 13 nickels in the jar. I know that that is going to be my start. Let's circle it in red so it matches. He took out 6 nickels. So I know that if somebody's taking it out of the jar, it's not in the jar anymore. It's gone. So my change is going to be we're going to subtract what he took out. He took out 6. All right, now we need to solve for our result. So going to my 10 frames, I'm going to show my start. My start is 13. 10, 11, 12, 13. And then my change is I'm going to take away those 6 nickels that he took out to show how many are left. So we're going to cross off 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's count what's left. I see that I have a group of 5, and then I have 2 left over. So 5, 6, 7. My result is 7. So, boys and girls, now this would be the point that you're going to practice with me. So, if you had your 10 frame at home and then your manipulatives at home, we would do this. I would have the students do this with me together, practicing along with me, a guided practice. And then down here at the bottom, I have an exit ticket, and we have something that we use called the whiteboard.fi, and I can put the exit ticket in that, and then students can go into it, solve it. I can see what they are doing, but they can't see each other. So that would be a good way for me to kind of assess their understanding. Do they understand what we did today? Another thing that I would use at the very end, and at the very end, I would tie in again, thinking about what was our learning target. So our goal is we know that we're successful when we're able to identify the start and the change and to solve the result in a word problem. So just tying that back in. At the end, I would just give them a question about how they felt about their lesson. Just a quick thumbs up, shaky hand if they're kind of understanding, and thumbs down. It's just a quick visual for me to scan and kind of see who understands it, who might need um, more support. Just another way to informally assess them. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing that. Okay, so after they would see me practice, we would have a practice together. Then it would be time for them to go and practice on their own or to do a small group. Looking at my advanced group, I would want them to look at a word problem, and then I would have them decide whether they needed to add or subtract. In today's lesson, I had that symbol in there already because it was new. I wanted them to focus more on the start and the change than whether or not they were adding or subtracting. That would be something that we would take away later. But my advanced group would work on this and have to think about, well, are we adding or are we subtracting the change? I would also probably use bigger numbers. 2-digit numbers, but without regrouping would be a spot that I think that this group would do well on at this point in the year when we would be working on this. My proficient group, their assignment would be, or what we might do in small group, would be very similar to what we did in whole group. So looking at a word problem, identifying the start and the change, and then using that 10 frame to solve. My not proficient group, I might have the word problems read to them so that they are not hung up on decoding what the words are. This would typically be a group probably similar to what my reading group would be, not always, but sometimes where they're struggling with reading as well. And so having it read to them, they're not having to focus on decoding it, and they can just think about mathematically what they would need to do. I would have them color code the word problem. I think they need to see that visual in the word problem. This is where I'm getting my start from. This is where I'm getting my change from. And then using that 10 frame to solve. I noticed that I have a few kiddos that have an IEP. So Sarah, Elijah and Jaden, I would really want to make sure that maybe even before coming to this lesson, that they really understood that 10 frame, because that 10 frame is going to be that good visual for them. If they know how to use the 10 frame correctly, then they will know it'll be easier for them to identify that or to solve for that start and then that change. So, um, leading to for my next lesson, if I was to continue this on, this lesson, the result was missing. My next lesson, the change would be missing. And then the following lesson, my start would be missing. So that students don't always, they need to know that they're not going to always be solving for the result, which is sometimes, I think, what they think. So sometimes the change is going to be missing. How do we solve for that? And sometimes the start will be missing. I had fun doing this, and thanks for listening. Bye.